Thank you so much, sir, and it's an honor and privilege to have you in front of us. My question stems from the previous question, which was on the election date. But when you look at the election process, what measures would you as a caretaker government be taking to avoid all the unconstitutional or any external undemocratic factors intervening into the electoral process, which we have been observing throughout the history of Pakistan? And from that, I would use the example of the recent elections which just happened in Karachi, where PTI and Jamaat-e-Islami collectively, they won a majority. But I don't know what happened. सारे लोग मई की मजम्मत करते हैं, लेकिन PTI वाले सारे गायब हो गए मेयर चूज़ करने से पहले, और करते कराते इवेंचुअली आई थिंक PP का ही चेयर बना था. PP का एक चेयरमैन मेयर इलेक्ट हुआ था. I see this happening on a larger scale as well. And yeah, you as a caretaker government, I think, can have an impact on regulating the election commissioner. So over to you.
Once we are done with the clapping part, I'll start. Look, let's have an honest conversation rather than a clever one. Okay? And I want all of you to think in an honest manner. Pakistan is a transitional democracy. What is a transitional democracy? It's a subject which is taught in many universities around the world. We are not a settled democracy. There was a democracy in Europe. It has taken its own shape, where it morphed from dictatorship to civilian supremacy, and it took them few centuries. It was not that easy journey. We want to have it a bit easy way, just having few conversation here in the halls and get all those subtle questions which is related to political power, economic power, and social power. There are two instances in history. One is called French Revolution and the other is called Glorious Revolution, which was in the case of James I, who fled, and the power was transformed from the monarchy to the parliament in English case. This was called Glorious Revolution because it was bloodless. And the other one, I'm sure you are aware of the guillotines and the rest of the experiments related to that. And it was a bit gory and ugly. When you want to have a transitional democracy morphed into a settled democracy, there has to be a process. First of all, we are a transitional democracy. We are not a settled democracy. All the PTI or the pro-PTI people are talking about the democratic reforms, electoral reforms, post-ouster of PTI's government. Prior to that, you do not see that narrative coming from their cadre and their leadership. As you refer to a situation where the outcome was for the favor of a PPP candidate, do you remember what happened with the Chairman Senate? Who did it? Well, just forget it. Who did it? All of you know. All of you know. I was also part of it. But what I am referring over here is that if we start to cherry picking and we want to rationalize a narrative, we will never reach that destination. We need to settle on certain principles. And those principles should be beyond political parties. It should be for the greater social order. It may sometimes suit PPP, it may suit sometime PMLN, it may suit sometime PTI or JUI for that matter. So we have to be very cautious when we design principles. That's why laws, when they are meant or when they are made, we need to think them through. Unfortunately, what happens in the parliament, I've been part of the parliament, that the different leadership of different political parties, they agree on it and they pass it on to their members, and we are just there to sign and put our thumbs on that. No one discusses the law either on the floor of the parliament or outside the parliament or even in media. How many times you have seen talk shows on any coming legislation? Just raise your hand. How many of you have seen? I can beg, not a single time. Not a single time. Can you have a honest conversation about shaping up the political positions and view in such a milieu? All you have that you pick 2 or 3 individuals and encourage them and ignite them to have a dog fight. And the rest of us, we enjoy. And this is the level, and we have turned our tastes for such a consumption of information. And this is part of the tragedy. I wish we had informed discourse like the one we are having right now. What's the problem with that 24-inch screen? Why can't it provide such informed discourse? Why? All they have to do, they have to bring a guy from PTI, a guy from PMLN, and a guy from PPP, and encourage them to have a dog fight, and we will be just cooking during that time or having coffee and enjoying, and then next morning sending WhatsApp to each other. Usne uski pitai ki, usne usko mara, usne usko gali. This has become part of political and social culture. Ooh, don't give me an opportunity to refer to the conversation on X, previously Twitter. Have you seen the kind of hate, the kind of abuse? When I go through those remarks, I feel so low that I am part of this nation. न मेरी माँ छोड़ते हैं, न मेरी बहन को छोड़ते हैं, न मेरी बीवी को छोड़ते हैं. And it's not just with me. I understand it's part of that package of the public life. Tomorrow you will be here in this position, and you have to go through this. She will be the one who would come to this position. She has to go through this. Think about it. We are all human beings. Do you feel good if you get abused on these relations which I was mentioning, for holding a political opinion, which may be even wrong? I might be having a wrong political opinion. What's problem with my dead sister who gets abused? What is the fault of my dead mother who gets abused? Why my wife? She's a housewife. Why does she has to be abused? And all of us, we know we have encouraged this culture. I, as a normal citizen of this country, I honestly feel so strongly, and I am so confused at the time, that what are we doing with this generation? Because anyone on Twitter definitely is computerly literate. He's not an illiterate person. He's not part of the problem. Me and you, we are part of the problem.